After spotting a woman dancing on a roof, man sends out his drone. 28-year-old Brooklyn resident and professional photographer Jeremy Cohen was bearing the brunt of the quarantine. Unlike many, he didn't have a significant other, a roommate, or even his family to be isolated with. It was just him, and he somehow had to make the best of his situation. He avoided the outside as much as possible and tried to kill time in a number of creative ways. However, sure enough, that wasn't going to stop him from getting bored and stir-crazy. While looking out the window at his deserted city, Jeremy saw something a bit odd on the neighboring apartment's rooftop. What Jeremy saw concerned him greatly. There was a woman moving rather frantically on the next rooftop. Was this the next level of cabin fever? Perhaps Jeremy would soon find himself in a similar state, wiggling out on the top of his own building with the whole city as spectators. The woman wasn't spazzing out at all. She was dancing her heart out. Jeremy was taken by her joyful performance and knew that he had to somehow reach out to her. During an interview, Jeremy admitted that he hadn't so much as been on a date within the last year and a half. Now more than ever, he was happily ready for that to change. Jeremy would openly state that he was never the flirty type, but with isolation and loneliness setting in, he found himself starved for human interaction. With that, he decided to say hi to the dancer. Thankfully, she waved back at him. He was blown away and knew he had to do something quick to seize the opportunity. He was determined not to let this mystery dancer get away. A plan to get her attention immediately came to mind. He said, "I grabbed my tape, pen, drone, and paper. Then I wrote down my digits and sealed them away on my drone." He then sent the device over to a rooftop. Understandably, at first, the mystery dancer looked a little freaked out when that drone approached her. But once it landed, she noticed the picture and immediately took it. She then retreated to her home, leaving Jeremy to wonder if she would text him. After some time, things began looking dim. Then the unthinkable happened. She sent him a text message saying, "Hi, it's the girl from the roof." From that point on, they began a conversation that would last for a few hours. As the two texted back and forth, the mystery of the rooftop dancer began to unravel. Pretty soon, Jeremy discovered her name and background. The pair continued their text conversation well into the night. The dancer ended up being a woman by the name Tori Signorella. After studying at Florida State University for several years, the 28-year-old had moved to New York, where she began work as a manager at an open workspace. Given the overarching situation, just like Jeremy, she now had a lot of free time on her hands. It wasn't hard for Jeremy to be taken in by Tori's charms. Despite the messed up situation, he absolutely had to make something happen with her. Against his own logic, he asked her something that seemed impossible. The next morning, Jeremy wasted no time asking Tori out on a date. He wrote, "Hi, so I'm thinking tonight we go out on a date. Want to get dinner with me?" She was, of course, taken aback by his message, but was touched nonetheless. She responded by saying, "Hi, yes, but where and how? We're quarantined, LOL." His heart had skipped a beat when she said yes, but she drove home a hard point. How exactly would they go out with the new in-home quarantine lockdown in effect all around them? He sat back and thought about it, and then it all came to him. He had the perfect idea for a date, but he wouldn't be able to make it happen by himself. Jeremy dug through Tori's social media accounts and somehow found her roommate. He messaged her and asked if she could possibly assist in setting up their date. Together, Jeremy and her would set up an amazing surprise rooftop/balcony dinner. Tori's roommate took to their rooftop and set up a table, flowers, and an organic TV dinner. Across the way, Jeremy did the same on his balcony. Not missing an opportunity to impress, Jeremy also made sure to look great for the date. He showered, shaved, did some push-ups, and even found the perfect outfit to sport. With everything set up, one question remained. Would she actually show up? By the time 5 p.m. came around and the sun started to go down, Jeremy was ready and the date went underway. It goes without saying that Tori was absolutely blown away by the grand romantic gesture that Jeremy had planned out. Even from afar, their first date was an absolute success. On Instagram, Jeremy described the date by saying, "I waved down at the balcony, she waved back. I told her she looked beautiful. We got on FaceTime and ate our matching organic microwaved single dinners together." Given the situation, things couldn't have been better. However, at one point during the night, he had to excuse himself quite suddenly. Young Jeremy scurried over to his bathroom and immediately began texting his friends group. Everyone was anxious to know how everything was going, and he wasn't about to leave them in the dark. He told them his date was going great, and they all stood firmly behind him. When he got back to the table, Jeremy asked Tori out for a second date, one that would actually be in person. Without even a speck of hesitation, she agreed to it. However, he'd have to make this date special while keeping the current situation in mind. One couldn't imagine what he was going to pull. Jeremy had a huge surprise in mind. Despite the strict lockdown, he managed to find a giant plastic bubble to put himself in. Abiding by the law while ensuring that both he and Tori would be safe, he decided to wear that to the date. He also brought her flowers, but seeing as he was in the bubble, he couldn't exactly pass them over to her. The two became the talk of the town as they walked through their Brooklyn neighborhood together. Plenty of phones were busted out as people took notice of the bizarre movement, and tons of pictures were posted online. They were soon going to be the hottest topic in New York City. All was going well, until a cop car approached and stopped the couple. They were viewed as two people living the quarantine dream. Despite being stuck in their homes, they found something new. The cops who pulled them over were no strangers to the video, and rather than stopping them or accosting them, they just wanted a few selfies with them. With their second date fully documented, many were wondering what was next for the two. When it came to the future of Jeremy and Tori's bond, many wanted to see this romance escalate quickly. But at that point, it was too early to tell. Jeremy remarked, "She's just a very kind person and cute. We'll see where it goes. If this doesn't work out, which is also a possibility, I'm sure we'll be close in some other way, just because she's so cool and chill, and we've had this crazy experience." Tori's answer didn't stray too far from his. She basically said that if nothing romantic stems from their situation, she would at least like to have him as a new friend, and they could hang out once the quarantine was lifted. However, the people following their story knew what they wanted, and they demanded it. We're guessing that the pressure must have hit them heavy as people began writing comments full of romantic expectations for the quarantine love affair. One person wrote, "I love this, and they both seem keen as well. Hope they end up married with kids. Can only imagine the kids." One person wrote a comment saying, "Only the coronavirus can bring two people together like this. In normal circumstances, they would have walked past each other on the street like strangers." This very well could have been true, especially given Jeremy's shy nature. At the end of the day, marriage or not, the two did something amazing for society during a pretty rough time. Jeremy, in particular, had met more goals than one. Being a professional photographer, Jeremy had more in mind than finding love with the young lady who was dancing on the Brooklyn rooftop. He really wanted to tell a story. His mother is a motivational speaker, a storyteller, and a stage 4 cancer survivor. She molded Jeremy into being an optimistic person with a love for sharing stories. At a time when many were locked in their homes with little social interaction and even fewer hopes for new romance, Jeremy wanted to use that opportunity to bring hope to the hopeless. The quarantined masses couldn't help but be touched when they saw this quarantine love story.